As I film this, it is snowing outside. In fact, it has been snowing for the better part of 36 hours here in western Massachusetts. I'm coming off the first snow day of the academic year at the middle school that I work at, so I thought to myself, what better way to get back into Unsealed filming after the Thanksgiving break than to open up a couple of snow-related video games. And what's more, these games also have the ESPN branding to them, and ESPN sports video games are no stranger to this channel. We have opened up NBA games, NFL games, NHL games, even some NCAA basketball games, which have been very good. These were all published by Sega Sports and or Take-Two Entertainment, were developed by Visual Concepts or their subsidiaries, and in general are very good to excellent video games in their respective genres. There was one other game that I opened up from Konami called ESPN X Games Skateboarding for the PlayStation 2. This game is not a terrible game, but it is certainly not to the level of quality that we would later see from the ESPN 2K games. This is based on the X Games branding and is very reminiscent of an ESPN X Games broadcast, and that's what I liked the most about the game, that and the soundtrack, which I thought was excellent. Unfortunately, the gameplay isn't quite up to par. It feels very average at best, and that's as nice to it as I can be. It is certainly nowhere near the level of, say, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, or going back to the original PlayStation, even something like Grind Session. This is a game that is adequate, but is certainly not great and not going to be in the pantheon of skateboarding games. The reason I bring up Konami is because we're going to have another Konami-based snowboarding game that we're going to open up. But before we get there, I want to open up one other game that almost didn't happen. This is a game from 1998. This is ESPN X Games Pro Border, which was developed by Radical Entertainment. What's interesting about this is that Radical Entertainment, and I had talked about it in my episode relating to Fox Sports NHL Championship 2000, Radical Entertainment actually had a series of these ESPN games that they were developing in tandem with the company, where ESPN was actually going to publish the games themselves. They were making a hockey game, they were making a basketball game, and this was the third game in the series that they were making. And this one actually did get published because Electronic Arts rescued it off the pile before it went away. And I'm kind of glad that they did, because the game, while it's not great, is certainly fun to play. And again, just like a lot of ESPN games right around this time and just after, the soundtrack is excellent. This is very reminiscent to Street Skater in my review of that, where I talked about the fact you could play the disc in your car and listen to the licensed soundtrack. You're going to get the same thing here. So we do have a very snowy scene here with the ESPN logo. And when we take a look at the back of the case, it says, "Stay home and go big." And you can see that underneath the little hang tag, which we're going to take off of here. So some of the features here, you can take on the game with the world's best riders. I am not going to pronounce some of these because the names are very difficult to pronounce, although some of them include Tina Bassich, Peter Lyne, Shannon Dunn, Daniel Frank, Todd Richards, Morgan Lafont, and Jamie Lynn. I don't know who any of these people are because I'm not in the snowboarding scene, but I'm imagining that they're pretty good. X Games Inside, 9 intense levels including Halfpipe, Border X, and Big Air, over 2,112 trick combos to master. So apparently we have a palindrome number to put in here just because. Ride Out of Bounds, full Freedom 3D lets you ride the whole mountain. So before we got to SSX, which kind of let you do that, we had a game like this. Slammin' soundtrack featuring Foo Fighters, Rancid, NoFX, and others. So that is pretty cool. And again, we'll take a look at some of the screens. I know it's going to be difficult to see because of the lighting and because of the glare, but the game does not look bad by PlayStation standards. Again, this is from 1998, so this is right in the middle of the PlayStation lifespan or PlayStation era. So let's go ahead and open this up. There we go. I've been waiting to open this up for a little while. And it does still have the Pro Border seal across the top, so we're going to go ahead and take that off, and then we're going to look and see what is on the inside. Again, I have played this game. I'm not great at it, but I do like the way that the game is set up. I do enjoy trying to play it, even though I'm not very good at it. When we open up the case, I feel like I'm playing Deal or No Deal here. Ooh, okay. So when we open up the case, we have a couple of things on the inside. We have the manual, of course. We also have Looking for Some Action from EA. We're going to go ahead and get to that in a minute. We also have, it looks like, a magazine subscription opportunity. you can get a free issue of Snowboarder courtesy of X Games Pro Boarder. That is right there. I wonder if this is still valid. Probably not. You know what? It does not say that it's not. There is no date on here. Please rush me my free issue of Snowboarder Magazine. If I like it, I'll pay just $9.97 for a 1-year subscription. I don't even know if Snowboarder Magazine is still a thing, but I think that's pretty cool. And you don't even have to open it or put postage on it. So that is pretty cool as well. We're going to get to the EA little advertising thing here in just a second. Whoops, I got to turn that around. So that's what the disc looks like. It looks just like the original Sports Center logo in the background. That burst logo, which I find pretty cool. And we're going to go ahead. Whoops, there it goes the case. Oh, PlayStation cases, how I hate thee. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the manual now. And when we take a look at the manual is in black and white. It is not in color. There are different levels of the game. Midnight Express is one, Half Pipe, Stadium, Mount Baker Gap, Slope Style. So you have different gameplay options, which is really nice. Super Pipe, I-70, Border X, and Free Ride. You can play one player head-to-head. You can play circuit mode if you want. High score, so scoring is definitely a thing here. There are professional and amateur controls, it looks like. I, of course, always use amateur because that is what I am. And the other thing I want to look at, I want to see if the soundtrack is here, and it is. And this soundtrack is pretty impressive. Wind Up by Foo Fighters, Leave You Far Behind by Lunatic Calm. If you've seen The Matrix, you know that tune pretty well. No FX, All His Suits Are Torn. Society by Pennywise, awesome. Rancid's Blood Clot, Bouncing Souls, Kate is Great. Voodoo Glow Skull's Symptomatic. This is a great soundtrack here. Pulley's Angel's Journey. The Strike by Millencolin, Chicks Dig It, Getting Air, Content X Stumble Again, and PFK 50 Grind. And there's something here, it actually says, and I'm going to see if I can get it close enough, it says there that you can, it shows you the track list. You can actually play all of the songs on your regular CD player, which I think is pretty awesome. I got this game for very little money. I think it was like $5 or $6. I got a good deal on it, so I'm very happy about that. Unfortunately, the case shattered, but that is going to happen with PlayStation games, so I will take that as it comes. In terms of what I think about the game, again, I think the game is fun to play. It's certainly no SSX. It's certainly no cool borders, but I think the game is still accessible enough where if you're interested in skateboarding games, it's worth a try, and it's not very expensive to add to your collection. Again, it is ESPN branded, although the X Games branding and presentation style isn't quite what you'd used to seeing with ESPN games that we would see, of course, in the PlayStation 2 era. And speaking of the PlayStation 2, let us get to the other star of this show, and it is a game that I know nothing about. I have not played this game, so when I saw it at Retro World Expo, I grabbed it. This here is ESPN International Winter Sports 2002. This, again, is for the PlayStation 2. Was released in, I believe it was 2001. Or actually, it is a 2002 game. And I know nothing about this, so we're going to find out about it together. We do have the seal at the top here. The chill of victory instead of the thrill of victory. I see what you did there. Let the games begin. Experience the intensity of international competition with the most exciting and challenging of the world's winter sporting events. Go for the golden 10 top events, including downhill alpine skiing, slalom alpine skiing, K90 ski jumping, K120 ski jumping, freestyle mogul skiing, half-pipe snowboarding, speed skating, bobsleigh, curling, and figure skating. Now, this contains ESPN visuals, camera angles, and commentary, 4 game modes, including championship and head-to-head play, brilliant graphics, at least that's what this claims, that feature weather effects and facial animations, and unique addictive gameplay for each individual event. So we'll show you what the back of the case looks like here. The graphics look pretty good for early PlayStation era. Again, this is 2002, so this is about a year and a half into the PlayStation 2 era. So let's go ahead and open this up, and then as a bonus, we'll take a look at that Electronic Arts catalog here in just a moment. So let's go ahead and turn this around. Let's try not to cut myself open. There we go. So there's the game. Let's open it up. If I am lucky enough to get another snow day tomorrow, which I won't be, I would definitely try this. Let's go ahead and get this open. There we go. And the price that you saw on it is right. I paid $5 for this. So, yeah, if I'm going to be able to get a sealed PlayStation 2 game that is more than 15 years old, even if it is a sports game, I like sports games, so that is fine with me. So, let's go ahead and try and open this up. There we go. And we have the International Winter Sports 2002 logo. We have an ESPN Games catalog, which we are going to look at because I really do want to check that out. We also have, as I move this aside for just a moment, we also have the International Winter Sports 2002 instruction manual, which we will also get to here in just a moment. Again, these games are from Konami. Konami had the ESPN license first before Sega Sports wound up getting the rights. So inside the ESPN The Games catalog here, we have an ad for MLS Extra Time 2002, which is an okay soccer game, but I have to admit I am not the best at soccer, so I might not be the best judge. We also have NFL Primetime 2002. This is a football game that is very near and dear to my heart. Even though it is a very basic football game, it really gets the ESPN presentation down pretty well, and whenever you have Chris Berman and Keith Jackson calling games, it's worth, and it's not Keith Jackson. I forget the guy's name here, but his partner in crime on NFL Primetime, Tom Jackson. That's it. It's definitely worth playing, at least for me. We also have, and that was 2001. We also have NBA Tonight 2002, which I believe we've covered on this show. International Winter Sports 2002, the game that we're looking at now. Winter X Games Snowboarding 2002, and X Games Skateboarding, which we have opened on this show. So we've done a few of these. We also have X Games Winter Snowcross 2002, which I don't even know was a thing. I'd have to find out. Let's take a look at this instruction manual, because again, I know nothing about this game. We also have ads here for Winter Games Snowcross and for Winter Games Snowboarding 2002. When we open up the instruction manual, it is in color, actually, and the screens do not look bad. Again, just like the other Konami games, what they do very well, even if the gameplay isn't quite right, is they do get the ESPN branding and presentation style down pretty well. So we've got downhill alpine skiing. Does it even say how to do it? Downhill controls. Control skier speeds with the left analog stick and the X button. Press the left analog stick up to accelerate. Carve using the ski edges by pressing the X button and steering with the left analog stick. So that's interesting. Again, we have alpine skiing, ski jumping. Check the wind. And apparently you have to use balance bars to land right. Boy, I don't know how well I'm going to do with that. You got moguls here, and you got a bunch of different tricks that are executed using the analog sticks, which could be interesting. Wow, and still more of them. That is way complicated for one event. And still more of them. Yikes. Half-pipe snowboarding, and that's probably got another list of tricks here. Oh, look, it looks just like Mortal Kombat. That's great. Speed skating. And is there anything here? Rapid taps on the circle and X button to accelerate and skate around the course. I might do well at that. I'm a pretty quick button tapper. Bobsleigh. Curling. Curling is here. I know nothing about curling. My friends in Canada probably laugh at me. And there's also figure skating, which is basically a Dance Dance Revolution ripoff. And we saw this with the floor exercises for gymnastics, international track and field as well. So it's not anything new. What I want to see is, I want to see if they mention who the voice talent from ESPN is. I'm guessing not. Music composer. This is done by Konami Computer Entertainment Osaka, so KCEO. Credits continued, credits continued. So we don't know who from ESPN is the voice talent, which is kind of too bad. I'd have to find that out. We also have a Konami warranty card there as well. With the Konami sports games from ESPN, again, I mentioned this, but it's worth repeating. The presentation is spot on. If Konami gets nothing else right, and unfortunately they rarely did, the presentation was really where they nailed it. The stat overlays were just right. The fonts were perfect. The replay angles were right where you want them to be. They contracted and worked with ESPN on-air talent to make it feel just like you were watching a network telecast. And as someone who takes presentation value in sports games very seriously, probably one of 8 people who do, I definitely appreciate the extra lengths that Konami went to make these games at least seem like ESPN telecasts on the surface, even if the gameplay was kind of sketchy here and there. One game I'd like to get to down the road is ESPN NHL National Hockey Night, which is an absolutely terrible game, but is a game that features both Gary Thorne and Steve Levy from ESPN, and the presentation of that game is really good as well. Unfortunately, the Konami games just did not work out well for the ESPN branding. The games really weren't that good, which is surprising considering that even something like NBA In the Zone should have been used as a blueprint for NBA Tonight, and that series only went 2 games before it went by the boards. Really, the X Games series was what Konami did the most with the ESPN license, and those games were really take it or leave it, and I can certainly tell you more on Twitter once I've had some time with the game. So that's it for another episode of Unsealed. Now I'm going to kind of look out my window, and no, it's still snowing, so now I'm going to wait and see whether I get a phone call in the morning saying that I can be late, or maybe I'll have the day off, who knows. In the meantime, take care of yourselves. Thanks very much for watching this episode and all of the episodes of Unsealed. I really appreciate it. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we will see you next time.